Where is it? I must have kept it around. Yep, here. Welcome to the final Fireball episode, and boy oh boy, do we have a lot to discuss today. I personally have a lot to vent, get off my chest this time. I'm still pretty much in a state of denial after that last race, but we'll get to it in an orderly manner. This episode, we have Shiv as our panelist, analyst, F1 pundit. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what happened at the Formula One Etihad Airways Abu Dhabi Grand Prix 2021. Yeah, we are not sponsored. So, Shiv, let's start with the track, right? This is the exact
Yeah.
same place Sebastian Vettel claimed his first world title. I mean, who can forget that do best Weltmeister moment? Or that time when Lewis Hamilton won the race in 2011? Or that time when Lewis Hamilton won in 2014? Or the time when Lewis Hamilton won in 2016 but somehow Nico Rosberg won the title? It was still a Mercedes victory. Or do you remember that time when Lewis Hamilton won in 2018? Or that Lewis
Yeah.
Hamilton win in
Or
2019? I mean, this track is so legendary. It is one
Verstappen
of
win in 2020. Verstappen win in 2020 and 2021.
yeah, that never happened. So, so personally, I think, and I guess a lot of you viewers would agree that it is more of a rich people's track. So as to say that it's like a landmark, it's a spectacle, which is highly evident because of its location in Abu Dhabi. And you can also take as an example the exit tunnel of the pit lane, which is it is highly unconventional, but it is still a joy when you go through it in a certain simulations in F1 games, right? So yeah, yes, Marina recently underwent some developments which shortened the track and its expected lap times in order to increase top speeds and overtaking opportunities. You know the chicane after turn 4 it was removed and the turn 5 hairpin was widened. And the four corner sequences at turn 11, 12, 13 and 14. Now it's all a turn 9. It has all been summed up in a turn 9 and some radius have been increased which allows the cars to carry more speed and the turn 15 allows the car to be able to travel flat out through the corner. So Shiv, let's get down to the
Yeah.
quali, right? So before we
Mm.
get to that, let us address some other major incidents which have unfolded over the last few weeks. So Guan Yu Zhao, he has got a seat at Alfa Romeo for next year. He's a paid driver, but he's I think it's actually
Not
coached.
as much as a paid driver like the likes of Nicholas Latifi and Lance Stroll. It's just that there are some Chinese sponsors who were willing to pay Alfa Romeo around 30 million pounds. That's just a rumor. If they sign Guan Yu. It's not as much as a paid driver.
So he is bringing 30 millions to Alfa Romeo, right?
Yeah, but it's not something like his family or his or he himself is sponsoring. It's just that there is a I think a Chinese oil company or something like that who are paying Alfa Romeo.
All right.
They just want their publicity because it will be good for Formula One to have a Chinese driver in
Well,
F1.
in addition, we have the Chinese GP contract, which has been extended till 2025. He has, Guan Yu Zhao has a lot of podiums to his name. He even won at Monaco, Bahrain, and Silverstone in F2 this season. Another reason that we may be looking at some kind of a proto Niki Lauda, if you want to say that. But let's get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on Guan Yu Zhao overall?
Anisha is a great guy. Like he has been in Formula Two for like 3 years now, and every year he has been up there with the likes of like Oscar Piastri or Charles Leclerc or George Russell. Like not that good, but yeah, he has been a title contender. He has won races, and he has proved himself to be worthy enough to be in
All right.
Formula One.
Yeah, totally. So another thing by that is Antonio Giovinazzi. Let's appreciate our guy, yeah, like Italian Jesus. He
Yeah.
got into F1 by not paying for his seat and had classified as a race finisher this season right up till the end. So as I like his personality. I mean, he has got a seat and the second worst team at Formula E. But do you think that we'll see more of him in Formula One down the line? What are your thoughts?
Actually, it depends on what the condition, what the ties are between Alfa Romeo and Ferrari. Because when Guanyu got the seat in 2019, I'm sorry, when Antonio Giovinazzi got the Alfa Romeo seat in 2019, he was because Ferrari appointed him. At one seat in Alfa Romeo till up till 2020 was a Ferrari seat. The other one was Alfa Romeo's choice. So Ferrari opted for Antonio Giovinazzi both years. But from 2022 onwards, they are both the seats are controlled by Alfa Romeo only, and Ferrari has no right.
All right. So, also in another news, Mick Schumacher is now Scuderia Ferrari's reserve driver for 2022. Do you think it's like
Yeah.
some kind of nepotism, or does Mick Schumacher really deserve his role for as of now in Ferrari for the next year? Tell me about it.
As the role of a reserve driver, absolutely yes, because see, like the Schumacher name has always been linked to Ferrari, and yes, one can say it's a bit of nepotism, but Mick Schumacher has proven himself to be worthy enough of an F1 seat, and of course, he has proven himself to be worthy enough of a Ferrari reserve seat. Let's see what happens after 2023, 2024. Who gets the second Ferrari seat next
All
to
right.
Charles?
Yep. So another thing you may have noticed that Oscar Piastri he won this season of Formula 2, but still he didn't get a seat in any of the teams, like not even Haas. So I guess money talks in this sport apparently. What are your thoughts on him? I think you were pretty much
Yeah,
pissed about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because see, now next year we'll be having four paid drivers in Formula One, like paid drivers and coach. Because you have Nicholas Latifi, Lance Stroll, and Guanyu and Nikita Mazepin, and like the likes of Nick De Vries or Oscar Piastri, those guys who have won the Formula Two World Championship and have proved themselves to be just up there with the likes of George Russell and Charles Leclerc, don't get an F1 seat, which is like very wrong in the sense because these guys deserve an F1 seat.
So let's talk about the qualifying, right? Let's talk about the classifications of the qualifying. So Max Verstappen took a time of 1 minute 22 seconds and 109 milliseconds. So now the only major thing which I had noticed was that during Q3, Perez gave a huge toe to Max, particularly on the curved straight at turn 10, which gave Max an advantage of 1 2 tenths. But I had no worries there because Mercedes definitely had the fastest car. But if you have any keen observations about the qualifying session, here's your chance. Do you want to talk about some elements? Because except of Mick
Yeah, I
Schumacher
just like
taking down a bollard and causing a red flag for some reason, is there anything you want to talk about?
yeah, I just want to say that just some people were saying that Max got pole because of Checo's toe, but it's not only because of that. See, Sector One and Sector Two are basically straight, so it was giving a huge advantage to the Mercedes cars, and Red Bull were lacking in Sector One, Sector Two, and Sector Three was pretty much equal between the likes of Hamilton and Verstappen. So what Checo's toe did was like it's the Sector One and Sector Two, both Lewis and Max were equally matched in that, and so it just went down to a showdown at Sector 3. Whoever could nail Sector 3 better would get pole, and Verstappen did that obviously and got pole. So I would like to say that it mostly Max got pole because of his driving skills and not because of Checo's
All
toe.
right, all right. Okay. Another thing that I like to talk about is how Russell's pace has severely taken a hit since we last talked about him in episode 9. So he has been getting a lot of hate recently. Do you think the hate is justified, or the fact is it the fact that he checks both the boxes for being a British driver and he drives for Mercedes? Yeah, tell me.
See, Russell up till let's say Sochi was performing at a level which no one expected him to perform at. He was up there with the likes of Alpine and Aston Martin, and he was like in Sochi and in Spa, he was there in second and third respectively. So it was very good. And after that, when he was confirmed a Merc driver at Monza just before Monza, he hasn't done anything since Monza. He got out qualified by Latifi at the sprint race in Monza. He got out qualified by Latifi in the qualifying, in the actual normal qualifying at Abu Dhabi.
Yep.
So I just like to say that he just can't give up on that Williams dream. He just had to perform. That's why I was saying that he needed to perform at the level.
Another
Mm,
thing
mm,
is that Sir Frank Williams passed away, like a really huge loss to the sport. But man, that guy was a revolutionary man. Like, I think
Yeah.
Williams is the second most successful Formula One team, right?
I think it's the third, second is McLaren, but yeah, they are like pretty much equally tied. McLaren and
Shivanshu. I recently discovered that watching Formula One, having an interest in Formula One was kind of written in my destiny. Because tell you what, there was this Encyclopedia Britannica's visual dictionary which I had, I had in my possession for a really long time. Like since I was born, I had been ruffling through the pages, and in my short-term memory, just long-term memory, it came like, hey Arman, there was some kind of a Formula One mention in that visual dictionary which you used to had. So I went to our attic, I dug out the visual dictionary, and it turns out the visual dictionary came out in 1994. Okay, at that
Yeah.
time, in 19 the they had very in a really great man, like Encyclopedia Britannica. They had mentioned the Form 1990 Williams F1 car, and they have like which huge wholesome diagrams like. Front wing is this, and these are the rear wings, and these are the wheels, the downforce, and they had explained it in pure detail, which is kind
Oh,
of funny. Yeah, like I'll send you a screenshot about it. Here's is it in the video.
oh,
So okay, that's it for my side for Williams. Personally, I still wish them the best for next year, because Alex Albon is gonna be joining them, and Latifi is there. Like Latifi. All right, so let's get to our main event now. So all right, skip the classifications, we'll get to it. So Shiv, it was a very surreal Sunday. My exams were going to start on the day after the next day, but I had actually prepared for the situation, and I had prepared for the subject beforehand, so I could really chill back and enjoy the weekend's proceedings. But Shiv, I'd really like to ask you, you've been watching the sport for quite a few years now, so can you describe the emotions which you usually feel, or which usually goes into a race where a title is going to be decided or can be decided? Can you tell me?
see, like normally whenever race starts, I have my fingers crossed that hopefully none of the Ferraris collide on the opening lap, and which has happened a couple of times before. But see, in the title showdown, I've been watching Formula One since 2019, and I saw Lewis Hamilton win his sixth world title, I think it was at Kota in 2019, and I saw him win his seventh at Turkey. I never had the chance to witness a title showdown, so it was really great to see that. And I was watching the race live. Like I missed first 10 laps or so because I had my tuition going on, but after that I watched race live, and up till lap 40 or 45 I thought like, yeah, the championship has gone from Verstappen's hands.
Yeah, so I think let me tell you how the broadcast started. They actually, added this new section to the F1 theme intro. I'd play a part in the video. It was really good. Like they were documenting all the races which they have won. Get in there, Lewis. Yeah, Max, let's go, boy. They were saying like it hyped me up so much. I literally had goosebumps on my head. Like, oh my god, I'm actually going to be witnessing some kind of a history making moment right now, because I think it won't get much intense than this season. Like even next year, there must be like a if FIA is correct, all the cars are much closer next year. Then it may come close to 2021. But right now, this season currently stands on the standstill, like the top season like ever. Like any new fan can be get invested. It bought them a lot of new fans, especially me. I started watching this sport this year myself, like totally regular follower. So okay, apart from that, personally, I just waited with pure anticipation. These last stages had been so much controversial that every time a Red Bull and a Merc came together, and Crofty would say, "And they touched Martin,"
Vettel, oh so close, he'll struggle to get round there.
my heart would literally skip a beat. Like he even ordered pizza on that day, and yeah, viewers, keep that in mind. We ordered pizza on that day. So let's start. Okay. So Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, they're tied at level points. I love that phrase. 369.5 points, and they're going head to head on a track which allows for the softest tire compounds. Lewis is on mediums because he used them in Q2, and Max is on soft. So it's a very intriguing grid. I'd also like to add that Nikita Mazepin didn't take part due to coming in contact with a COVID disease person. I mean, it would have been an event more of pure element of surprise if we would have actually gotten to see Pietro Fittipaldi replace him. But it's always a great modified grid, even especially when Robert Kubica was there in place of Kimi, but he didn't take part in any of the practice sessions. So there's that. So Shif, I have two questions for you this time. A,
Yeah.
that practice session rule. If they know how to drive and they must have done it on some kind of simulator, why not just allow them? Like, doesn't it kind of make the reserve driver role kind of redundant?
See, it's not that because, like you just mentioned about Robert Kubica, Kimi was diagnosed with the COVID at this after the second practice session at Zandvoort, and Robert Kubica got FP3 and quali to prepare himself for the race on Sunday. And the rule states that if a driver cannot take part in a Grand Prix, then the driver replacing him should at least taken part in one practice or qualifying session before the race on Sunday. And Mazepin had taken part in the quali, so there was no way Pietro Fittipaldi could replace him, and because it would go against the rule. Plus, it was a very very late call. So the team needed to change his number on the car. Plus, the team needed to change his seat because Mazepin's seat is very different from Pietro's seat.
What?
Was what had the high difference.
Oh, okay, got it, got it. I thought like a butt shape.
No,
Shit.
no.
All right. My second question, that B question, is like, can you explain the viewers about the tire choices which going into Q2 and how they play a part in the main race? Can you tell them?
Okay, see, there are qualifying is basically taken into three parts: Q3, Q1, Q2, Q3. Q1 is where all 20 drivers take part, but only 15 of them advance into Q2. And Q2, where the 15 drivers who pass Q3, Q1 take part in Q2, and after that, five of them are eliminated. So the remaining 10 have a showdown at Q3. Whichever one has the fastest time takes pole. But there's a rule that states that the compounds that the drivers chose in Q2 to advance into Q3, they have to use the same compound, the same set of tires for this race on Sunday. So basically, it states that let's see if I am 11th and the Q2 is about to end in 10 seconds, and I go out and put a lap, a banker lap, and I somehow advance into Q3 on a medium set of tires. Then I have to use that same set of tires, the same medium set of tires, for the race on Sunday.
Right.
Like you have to start the race on the same set of tires.
All right.
It's a very ambiguous rule, but it's being scrapped next year. Next year from
Really?
2022. Yeah, I think so. It was decided in 2019 that this rule will be scrapped.
All right. Thank you for the information shift. So moving on. So going into the race, there has been various on-track battles, but sometimes a driver may cause a deliberate collision in an attempt to win the championship. There's the 1989 battle between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. It was decided that by that incident at the Japanese Grand Prix, or that. Prost in Ferrari, where which ended in Senna's favor because of their collision at Suzuka. Michael Schumacher collided with Damon Hill at 1994. He took him out of the title contention that year. Or the fact that Schumacher himself was disqualified for a year because of a collision from the championship, which he would have won had he been still classified as a contender that year. So in response to those events, what happened? Michael Massey actually warned Verstappen and Hamilton that FIA would register them for race bans and championship disqualification, which I think
Yeah,
was a great move.
Michael Massey warned them that their points could be deducted, or worst come worst scenario, they could be disqualified from the whole championship.
Damn it! Like
Like
going,
so, basically, Lewis and Max won't just straight line turn one and take the rival out.
damn it, man! Like Michael Massey was literally placing him in some scenarios where he would have been chewed alive by some kind of a mob.
It was quite like the Peaky Blinders scene where he says "no fighting, no fucking fighting" scene on Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, never watched that. All right. So Hamilton immediately took the lead from Max Verstappen on the race start, and Verstappen tried to regain his position at turns and at the turn six chicane. Verstappen and Hamilton came together again, and my heart literally skipped a beat again. And Lewis re-entered, but he was slightly ahead of Max before the corner. But and then when Red Bull protested that Hamilton took the wrong racing line, they were told by the radio that Hamilton actually gave back the advantage. And then the
No, he
incident
did
got,
not.
yeah, incident was referred to the stewards, and then they said that no investigation necessary. I know people have said that there is British bias in the sport, but even as a Mercedes fanatic and a fan of Lewis Hamilton, I have to accept that this was a little bit of suspicious.
See,
I tried it out in F1 2020, and lo and behold, I got a 5 second time penalty by the AI powered steward. So, yeah, tell me, what are you saying?
See, the reason why many of them were complaining on social media and all was because the previous week, Max straight line, not straight line, logged up and went through turn one, and he took the advantage, but he was asked to give the position back, and the very same thing, like 100% similar thing, happened at turn six and seven. And they just say that he has given his advantage back, which was absolutely ridiculous. He did not give his advantage back. He must have gained around 5 or 6 tenths, but he only gave like a tenth or two away, which was very bad. And plus, it's not just about the advantage he has gained. Lewis, first of all, Lewis wasn't defending that position at all. He was just towards the right hand side of the track. He was just keeping the racing line. He should have defended. Just I'm saying it as a racing fan, and if even if he didn't, when Verstappen went down his inside, he just turned in on Verstappen. I don't know what he was expecting. Was he expecting to just collide with Verstappen, or I don't know what was he expecting? But he just went turned in on Verstappen, and he had nowhere to go after that. So he just went straight to the chicane and took the position back, which was absolutely ridiculous. And what's even more ridiculous was that the stewards didn't consider it as corner cutting rule and all. So it was just super bad from
Yeah,
the
totally.
steward
Like,
side.
kind of a, really controversial start. Well, it had a controversial start, it had a controversial end, but we'll get to the end. So, Hamilton then, he utilized his medium tires. He extended his lead somehow over Verstappen. I think he had soft compound tires. I think that his tires were suffering from a huge high degradation. So, Shiv, can you just, tell the relationship or the proportionality between tire degradation and weather to our users?
Okay, like before I begin on that, firstly, I would like to say that the reason why Verstappen was using the softs was because so that he could have the jump on Hamilton at the start, but he didn't. He messed up the start. So after he only had like 2 or 3 laps to go before the stop started dropping off, and after the third or fourth lap, the mediums would come into the race as a better tire because they face into the race as a better. The degradation is not that high, and as compared to the likes of the softs. So he only had like 3 or 4 laps before he had to overtake Hamilton, but he did not. So he just lost the race at that point only, because every move he did after that, Hamilton could just react to it. Like if he pitted for the Hearts, Hamilton also pitted for the Hearts and maintained his lead.
All right. So yeah, about that proportionality between tire degradation and weather, can you explain how it all comes into effect?
Yeah, see, the soft tires are a very like as the name mentions, it's a soft tire, and they have a huge tire speed. They have a huge speed and a lot of grip at the start of their life. But after like let's say 5 or 6 laps, they start dropping off. Dropping off means the pace is they start degrading, means the rubber starts coming off and the pace decreases slowly and slowly. And the medium tires, as the name suggests, have like quite of a medium degradation. That means they don't have that much grip at the start, but the degradation, the amount of rubber that's coming off them, it's very low compared to the soft. And the hards have the least amount of grip, but the amount of rubber coming off them through a race is very less.
All right.
That's why people tend to go towards the hards, towards the middle of the race.
Yep. So let's continue on. So Max, he made his first pit stop at the end of lap 13, and Hamilton, pitted one lap later, and they both went for the hardest tires. And now Checo was the first, like he was leading the race at that time, and now Checo was informed that now his strategy was to hold up Hamilton to allow Max pass and to catch him up. So, Hamilton actually came over. They were actually showing the overtaking difficulty to be the least amount. But man, oh man, like Checo defended like a lion. Like Fernando Alonso, like Checo was the actual lion here. Like such a spirited defense from that driver, it actually allowed Verstappen to close the gap. I mean, Hamilton's lap times fell off by a staggering 5 seconds during that lap. You know that. He was,
Yeah.
but ultimately, Max was unable to take the advantage, and eventually Hamilton surpassed him, and I think the gap went to 4 seconds by the middle of the race. I think.
I think the gap was around 2 to 2.5 seconds. Before it was earlier, it was around 8 seconds, but after the Checo held up Lewis, it was around 2 to 2.5 seconds.
All right. So yeah, that's that. So on lap 26, Kimi Raikkonen, he actually collided with the barriers at turn 6, and his tenure as a Formula One driver ended right then. Some kind of brake issue in his 349th and final race. If he had actually managed to take part in one more race, he would have been in 350 total races. But now his time is up, and I still wish him the best for the future, and I hope to see him in some other racing leagues some years down the line. And ironically enough, in the same lap, Russell retired in his final race for Williams due to some gearbox issues. And then Antonio Giovinazzi even retired on lap 35 because of some kind of gearbox issues. But then he parked his car in some kind of a dangerous spot, which actually triggered a virtual safety car. And then Red Bull actually brought Max in. They then handed him a fresh set of hard compound tires, and they didn't even lose some positions. And Mercedes, they all were like, Hamilton, we won't bring you in, we'll lose track position. This exact damn bullshit will come into play later on. They like directed Hamilton to stay out, and then I think he got an advantage at first. Verstappen, he tried to reduce that point like 17 seconds point seconds gap to 11, and but somehow he still wasn't able to catch up to Hamilton on his fresh sets. So what are your thoughts on that strategy? Like, what did Red Bull were trying to throw at Mercedes at that
Like
time?
at that point, Verstappen was again around 5 to 6 tenths behind Hamilton, and they had a free pit stop. Free pit stop implies that they could still pit Verstappen and not lose any positions. It's termed as a free pit stop in F1. So they did that, and they took a chance. They took a gamble, like if Verstappen could catch up to Hamilton, but it was, again, I said, very ambitious, because considering the hearts would again start dropping off, and Hamilton had massive race pace advantage compared to Verstappen.
All right. So, everything was going my way. I mean, Mercedes' way. So, I was already imagining me getting back at all the people who had mocked my support from Mercedes, and Hamilton particularly. The pad that pizza we had ordered, it still hadn't arrived. And for my younger brother who actually supports Max and Red Bull to just spite me, he said that something just wasn't right with the world. As the Orange Army, sat down all gloomy and depressed and silent, one soul, mine, here in India, I was having the time of my life. But then came lap 53. On lap 53, Nicholas Latifi crashed out somehow. I think got shunted by. Oh my god, did Mick Schumacher cause that crash? Shiv?
No, no, absolutely
There
not.
shall be no eighth. You said that there shall be no eighth. Did
No,
he
no,
just?
no, absolutely not.
I mean, he was kind of chasing him, but all right. So Hamilton, he again stayed out without pitting. We'll lose track positions, Lewis. And Max came in for a set of soft compound tires. But Checo retired, so I thought at that point the constructors' title was in Mercedes' back. So after Verstappen's pit stop, he retained some seconds, and but he had these five lapped cars. I think these lapped cars were of Fernando Alonso, I think Esteban Ocon,
Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Charles, Seb, and Norris.
Norris. Yeah. So there were these five drivers were between Hamilton and Max. And the debris for Latifi's crash was still being cleared by the race marshals. So the lapped cars were actually informed that they would not be permitted to overtake because of the debris. But then during lap 57, Christian Horner literally asked Michael Massey that why were the lapped cars not allowed to overtake? And Massey told him that the five cars won't be allowed to overtake and lap themselves. But immediately after Vettel passed the safety car to join the lead lap, race control somehow said the safety car would enter the pits at the end of the lap to allow for a final lap of green flag racing. And I was just standing there. I was like so fucking shocked. What the hell? What's going on here? And I don't want to talk about this. It is so it is so traumatic. When in 2015 India lost in the World Cup to Australia, 326 runs. I actually curled up myself when I was in class 9th. I was so depressed. I didn't even watch cricket to that much extent. But the thought of India losing while having dominated for such a long time, it really got me. And even after so many this years, as an adult, but I totally lost it. What happened? Like, Verstappen lunged. He used his soft tires and passed him in turn 5 and took the race. He, like, Hamilton somehow got a slipstream. He tried some attacks, he got countered, and Max took his title. Like, it was stolen from him. Literally stolen from him. He came in second and then followed by Carlos Sainz in Ferrari. But even though we got the constructors title, I wanted the world drivers title to be Lewis. But oh, by like they were going on the curve straight, and these sentence, no, Michael, no.
No, Mikey, no, no, Mike, that was so not right.
I think he was saying Michael, but I think it was the accent. But I would like to say that he was saying no, Mikey, no. Like I was like, oh my god, everything's going to fucking hell right now. What's happening? This isn't possible. This just can't happen. This is illegal. But it happened. It actually happened. Max Verstappen literally took the damn thing. He took it to the end of the race, like climax, fucking climax. Like Drive to Survive couldn't even come up with a better script than what actually transpired in that one lap.
22 races, 22 qualifying sessions, 3 sprint races, and it all went down to the last lap of the last race.
Went down to the absolute fucking wire, bro. I became clinically depressed at the moment. Like not actually depressed, but you get the just like, bro. It was going so well for the last few weeks. How? How did it happen? Bro, if the lapped cars were allowed to overtake, then there would have been no racing laps, right? But then the lapped cars were allowed to overtake, only those 5 cars came forward and the safety car came in. This doesn't even make sense. If you are asking those lapped cars to unlap themselves, then wait till the next. I mean, it would have won us the title, Lewis Hamilton's 8th title.
Okay, I'll explain.
But
I'll
it,
explain what
yeah,
happened. See, like when the safety car came out, like Lewis had two choices. He could either pit and come out behind Verstappen on fresher set of tires, but it wasn't clear at that time whether the race was going to be restarted or not. Because many of people, including me, I thought that the race is going to finish behind the safety car. Or what Lewis could do was he could stay out and maintain track position. And I personally like to call it the leader's dilemma, and that's exactly what Lewis did. He took the second option, which in the end didn't work out for him. And see what the rule states that, first of all, the rule states that when the message is put out by race control that the lap cars may overtake, then the safety car has to come into the pits at the end of the following lap.
yeah, the
Let's say,
safety car was required to wait until the end of the following lap to return to the pit lane. Yeah,
yeah, but there
it
is
would have
another
won.
article
Hamilton would have won, and in that scenario, right? But
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
Hamilton
know.
would have easily
Yeah,
won
I
because the
don't
race
know.
would have finished
Yeah,
behind the safety car.
yeah. But what happened? Did FIA just
Like,
spawn
I
a rule
think there
that
was a second rule called Article 48.33 of the sporting regulations, and I think it contains that it states that the race director. I think the article states that the race director may. When puts out the message that the safety car comes in this lap, then the safety car has to come into the pits at the end of that lap. So, and the FIA, the stewards, were saying that this article, which is called the 48.33, overrides the one which states it must come after the end of the following lap. So it was just a very ambiguous rule. There are a lot of gray areas in the sporting and the technical directives of the FIA, and
bro,
like
that line, Toto, it's called a motor race. Okay, we went car racing, bro. You didn't go car
plus, yeah,
racing. You
that's what I was going
robbed
to say.
someone. You robbed
That's what I was
someone.
going to
Yeah,
say. Both the FIA group, the FIA, the Formula One group, and the Liberty Media. I think all of them wanted the race to finish with at least one lap of racing. Just imagine the scenario if it had finished behind the safety car.
bro. This is just like the organization is somehow trying to seek some entertainment. This is not right. Like this is an actual sport.
Yeah,
You
absolutely. This is not right, but still, like, they wanted one lap of racing, and I think that last lap of racing, everybody's heart rate was above 120. I think
Bro,
I can say that.
my eyes were going all blurry. My heart was literally beating out of my chest, like as if literally I had gone and run some miles, some laps in mini stadium or something. But at that moment, my 2021, which had been a great year overall, it shattered my joy in the literally the closing stages, and in those closing stages, my eyes somehow welled up. I then saw the big screen overlays, those augmented reality stuff, saying that Max is the 2021 WDC. I couldn't make sense for what had happened. It was all going so perfectly. I even posted stories and videos on my feeds. How did it all go so wrong? I was so distressed by the result, and even the worst thing is, the fucking pizza guy came after our order was elapsed for the past 3 hours. He came right in the end when Max won. Bro, when I was enjoying, you weren't getting me pizza. Now you came when I was at the literally the lowest state of mind I had ever been in the past few years. And even my younger brother said, now that world is starting again to make sense. Like, along with the Merc team, I was stunned. I was so angry at Massey. I was so angry at Latifi, Horner, Bono, safety car. The entire night is a blur. I just came down. I just sat in my chair. I was like thinking, okay, all right, just try to process it. There is next year. But that entire, over the course of the past 9 episodes, Shivanshu, you have seen how passionate I have become about Merc. I think I've gone to lengths to belittle other teams, but I didn't do that deliberately. But I was really passionate about Mercedes. Like I wanted this team to win. Like the entire streak continues, but you know I was like, I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs. How dare they took the championship by crook when Hamilton had been leading the majority of the race. But you even messaged me like Mercedes did file 2 protests, and the first one was withdrawn. I think the one where they said that Max was trying to take some kind of perform some kind of an overtaking maneuver during the ending stage of the safety lap. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and the second one actually sounded a bit intriguing. I do have a lot of respect for Michael Massey. Like his job isn't easy. He tried to end the season without controversy, and now he himself became the focus of probably the biggest F1 controversy since the last dodgy F1 money scandal, which I'm looking at you, Force India and Vijay Mallya. In the second protest, Mercedes argued that if a message for a lapped cars to overtake is issued under Article 48.12, then all the lapped cars are required to unlap all the lapped cars, and the safety cars was required to wait until the end of the following lap to come back in. And if this process was complied with, Mercedes would have won. Hamilton would have won his eighth WDC, and there would have been no racing laps, and the lap cars would have still been allowed to overtake. But now it's all done. Max may have deserved the championship. I'll say he deserved the championship. He had to put an end to Mercedes domination for some people, but I wanted my team to win. As a fan, I'm saying that. So, but for me, it was. I'm quoting Hamilton. It was this shit was manipulated, and it was manipulated to such an extent. It would be a blur. It would be a shame on FIA's consistency record. Even I could see how Lewis was disillusioned by what had transpired in that final lap. The only person who consoled him was his father. And man, seeing him hug his father, like he was trying to hold his tears, yeah, like it was such a heartbreaking sight for me personally. So, as of now, Mercedes, skipped the prize giving ceremony. We did get a newly elected FIA president, Mohammed bin Sulaim, right? And
Yeah.
Mercedes, along with him, they have issued a statement that now going forward, such incidents won't happen. Hamilton has gone radio silent, and I'm really concerned. Like, bro, please don't end up retiring, yeah. Like, it was going so well. This is nothing to cry about. You were close, and you will get them next time. Mercedes. Even you have noticed the W13. They put out this video, like the engine has
Yeah,
got
which
enough
is
version
like
working.
it's very early for a car to be fired up.
Bro, they are landing Mercedes is landing a killer
Actually,
on next
there
year.
is a rumor in the paddock. Actually, there was last week, which stated that two teams, like Mercedes and Alpine, it's still a rumor. Some of them were saying Mercedes and Alpine. Some of them were saying Mercedes and Ferrari. that they both have found a loophole in the regulation which could give them like a significant pace advantage. But it's just a rumor now, and it's not been official, it's verified by like trusted source. It's still a rumor from like low trusted sources.
Don't give me hope, Shiv. Don't give me hope. They, as I was saying, they just started on the W13, and things are going to be tight with this new car models and regulations. Like Max, all right, I'll say this as a fan. Don't take me as a pundit right now. Max will ride with the number one on his car, but I'm going to wish that 2022 would be Red Bull's 2014 all over again. As a matter of fact, Shiv, I'll go on record and say I'm gonna be supporting Ferrari next year just to add in that extra pressure, just to get back for 2021. Another, yeah, totally. So another thing is that let's talk about some predictions. We have a little bit more time left. So Ferrari's performance this year. Carlos Sainz was actually much better than Leclerc, I'd like to say. So what do you think? How it's going to go between Leclerc and Sainz for next year? Tell me.
See, many of people were saying that, oh my God, Sainz is a better driver than Leclerc. Yeah, he is a very good driver, but see, Ferrari were the whole year round in 2021, they were playing the gamble game with Leclerc. They put Leclerc out on a gamble which never worked out for them. In Turkey, he was asked to stay out so that if the track turns dry, then he could pit onto the dry tires and come out and have the lead, which did not work it out in their favor. And in I think it was one more race in Monaco. Let's say they chose not to change his gearbox, which I think even if they decided to change his gearbox, they would have saw that the drive shaft is broken. They would have fixed it, and he would have gone at least like 5 or 6 points at that race. And he lost another 25 points in some race in Hungary. Yeah, in Hungary, the before Lance Stroll collided with him, Lewis was out in the lead and Leclerc was second for a brief second before, of course, Lance Stroll had other plans. So he lost around like 40 to 50 points this year, purely because Ferrari played the gamble game with him, and with Sainz they played a completely different game. They always put out Sainz in a safe strategy just so that he is there for Ferrari to take the points when if Leclerc's strategy don't work out.
Yeah, right. So another thing is that I kind of bet this year on McLaren to actually beat Ferrari, but even that too didn't work in my favor. So yeah, no, and not any heartbreaks on that side. Their pace somehow managed after what transpired at Russia. So Shiv, let's talk about Aston Martin. Like Lawrence Stroll, he's expecting much bigger things to happen next year. And what are your thoughts? Can we somehow get a really decent position for Aston Martin?
See, Aston Martin is a very tricky choice because they are not focusing on 2022 like many teams. They are focusing on 2024 and 2025 because they start the new building which they are manufacturing is
Yeah.
funded by Lawrence Stroll. It's worth around $2 billion around Silverstone factory, and it will be inaugurated December 2022, which is next year, and it will be fully functional around the midway of 2023. So you can expect the 2024 car to be built wholly around that new factory. Plus, see, Lance Stroll, if Aston Martin are very serious, then they're gonna have to drop Lance Stroll and pick some other driver, like the likes of, let's say, Oscar Piastri and all.
Well, that's
Because
kind of,
Sebastian Vettel,
yeah.
I think he only has 2022 on for his prime, for his like better driver. After that, he will also start be slow because of his age. But let's see. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah,
All right.
they definitely have to drop Lance Stroll.
Really, like, do you think Lawrence Stroll will actually let that happen?
Lance Stroll is a great driver, no doubt in that, but still, he's not world championship material.
Oh my, all right, shots fired.
You, even if they had Carlos Sainz level of driver, let's say if they had Lando Norris or Carlos Sainz or let's say
Leclerc.
even Esteban Ocon to that extent, they could have been considered by me as a championship contender.
All right. Hey, but did notice that pace improvement for Alpine? I mean, like, what the hell,
Yeah,
guys? Like
absolutely.
Alonso on podium. Like,
Yeah, actually, Alpine from 29, they are using the same chassis that they used in 2019. They were always focused on the new regulations which were supposed to come in 2021, but they got postponed to 2022. Since 2019, they just gave up on the hope, and they were just focusing on the new regs. That's why I'm expecting them to be at least third fastest next year. They
All
have to be, actually.
Yes, and let's talk about that. Back in episode when we talked like Haas and Williams investing in 2022. So, in some way, can we expect a P4, P5 for Haas next year somehow? Like, get out of Q1 for at least this time, yeah, like this year.
P4 will be a little bit too ambitious, around P6, P5, P7, around that you can expect. But yeah, I consider them to be like the fifth or sixth fastest car next year. Because they gave up on 2021 like in December 2020. Last year only they gave up on 2021 because they knew that it's of no use.
All right, Shiv. So, yeah, that was it. We'll see what happens next year. Shiv, do you have any closing statements to give?
Forza Ferrari.
Oh my God. Well, let's go, Mark.
The great, see,
Still we
El plan
rise.
and great Ferrari master plan. They both will work next year. I'm predicting it.
Yeah,
Alpine and Ferrari for the titles next year.
all right,
Let's go.
Forza. All right, Forza Ferrari, and get in there, Lewis. Yes. Nice. It feels so great to say that. Like totally, so much pleased. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen. The end for Fireball. So I hope you enjoyed this journey. But the show's not over yet. I'll be documenting the remaining races in a short series. I've right now labeled Fireball Unleashed. I tried to get up with a better name, but there would be a follow up on this entire series. Till then, on my behalf and Shiv's, we bid you adieu and see you next time on the Hangman Sky. Thank you.